Welcome to Things You Didn't Ask For and Didn't Need to Know, the show where we discuss random stuff that we find interesting before deep diving into the main topic, which this week is the meaning of life. I'm Donal.
I'm Barry.
And I'm Mart.
And today in the studio with us we have Aidan and Linda, and you'll be hearing their voices as well. Don't forget, if you enjoy the show, subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, please hit the bell to get notifications, and please comment. And Barry, without further ado, what do you have for us today?
Okay, welcome Linda and Aidan as well.
Thanks.
Thanks. This week I've got some facts about Antarctica, everybody's favourite cold place. So these are stuff that nobody asked for, nobody needs to know it, but I found it fascinating, and I didn't know. I literally didn't know any of this. You guys might know some of this. So Antarctica is the home to the largest ice sheet on Earth, containing a staggering 30 million cubic kilometres of ice. This represents an incredible 70% of the fresh water on Earth.
Wow.
Is in that one spot.
How big is, what did you say, 70 million cubic kilometres?
30 million cubic
30 million.
kilometres of an
30 million is about the size of 30 million cubic
kilometres.
Oh, okay,
cubic, I
no
guess,
idea.
yeah,
30
yeah.
million
So
squared
70% of the world's fresh water and 90% of its ice.
Holy crap.
Of all the
Holy
ice
crap.
on the entirety of the planet, 90% of it in that one sheet.
We better hope that doesn't melt.
So, as a result of that, changes to the Antarctic ice sheet can have significant implications on global sea levels and ocean currents. So, the next thing. More than 6 times as the size of Greenland, Antarctica is the southernmost continent and is the coldest and windiest place on Earth, with temperatures that can drop as low as minus 89.2 centigrade. And winds that can exceed 320 kilometers an hour.
Damn.
Like, that's cold.
Yeah.
That is so freaking
I'm trying
cold.
to think of a
That's
joke.
a red weather warning.
Maybe a red one. I have a conspiracy theory about weather warnings, but we'll come back to that, swing around to that again. Here's the mad thing, right? I always thought Antarctica was a fairly, pretty barren place, that some animals and stuff, but not a lot. There are more than 9,000 known animal species in Antarctica, including 46 species of birds, 10 word I can't say that includes killer whales and humpback whales, 6 species of seals, and 7 Antarctic penguin species. And then in the seas around it, there are 235 species at least in the oceans, from mud-dwelling worms, sea cucumbers, sea snails, seabirds. And the researchers keep discovering, they keep to go out there all the time. They're like, oh, there's a new bird, oh, there's a new fish. It's insane. And the fish I don't know if do I have that? I do. There are several fish in Antarctica have antifreeze in their blood.
What?
No way.
Yeah. They have a special
I suppose.
proteins in their blood to stop them from freezing.
Actually, yeah, how do they not freeze up there at 89 degrees?
Well, no, see,
or
they're in the
minus
water,
89?
not in the air. They're in the water only goes to minus 1.8, which still freezes. So they have special
freezes on the
proteins
top, yeah.
in their blood to stop them from freezing. So yeah, the antifreeze it
That's
protects
pretty
the
cool.
Antarctic fish in the sub-zero.
You can definitely
temperatures.
see why there's an argument for intelligent design.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? So there are no trees or shrubs in Antarctica, but there are 2 flowering plants: Antarctic hairgrass and Antarctic pearlwort.
What are these?
Plants, 2 flowering plants, but there's no trees or shrubs, but there are 2 flowering plants that live there, and obviously they have no bother with the minus. I'm not going to bother with the thing. It's minus 90 degrees.
Yeah.
And 200 or 320 kilometer an hour winds. Yeah, we'll just be flowering here. Thanks very much. There are over 1,000 species of fungi.
1,000 species of fungi in
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yeah, 700 species of
Wait a
algae.
second. Fungi growing in Antarctica, like mushrooms.
Yeah,
Wow.
presumably
Well,
it's
or
not
like
like
mushrooms
mushrooms.
are
I'd say it's
weird.
more.
By the way,
Probably
when
looks
you walk
more like
into a
algae.
wall and there's like black crap on the wall to everything.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it's
also a
not your
fungus,
standard
isn't it?
putting
No,
mushroom
is that
that
a
you...
fungus? Is that a fungus?
Can be. I don't
If
know.
the black crap that's on the wall, is that a fungus?
Is a mold a fungus? Mold is a fungus. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And there's where's it gone? 20 odd species of macrofungi. So now, as always, I have done absolutely
party place.
zero follow up on that. No
Yeah.
idea what macrofungi are. You can also find 100 species of mosses, 25 species of liverworts, and 300 to 400 species of lichens in Antarctica.
The hell, Barry, is a liverwort.
That's, yeah, again, it's a thing.
Because there is that thing, St. John's wort.
Yes,
Is it a
it's
plant?
wort that's just to distinguish it from a
Liverwort
wort.
is a plant, it's like a moss.
Yeah, not the thing that grows on witches'
Yeah.
noses.
Oh, it's wort. W-O-R-T.
O-R-T,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Okay.
I
I
know.
still don't know what that is, but
Linda's
okay.
so
They're
smart.
land plants that do not have a vascular system.
There we go.
Yeah, damn.
I just knew that.
Antarctica covers an area of 14.2 million kilometres squared. All right, that's about twice the size of Australia.
Ah, that's kind of what I was looking
Yeah.
for, a context of...
Yeah. It's at least bigger than at least 10 football fields, to give it an American measurement, and larger than speaking of which, larger than the United States of America and Mexico combined.
Damn.
So Antarctica is a pretty big, impressive place that I knew
Pretty big ice
nothing
cube.
about. Now, funnily enough, I still don't want to go there on holidays. So there you go.
So Antarctica is like Anti is the one. Anti is like
no, that's not on this, but this is something I know.
yeah.
Arctis is the Greek word for bear. So there are bears in the Arctic, but there are no bears in Antarctic.
Ah,
So there you go.
I thought it was ant as in anti as in below.
No, it's anti as
It's
in
just without.
They're without, yeah.
Hmm.
There are no bears. Which is presumably back in the day, polar bears were dangerous. They're just pets now, so it's fine. If you see a polar bear, go up and pet it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you won't find one in Antarctica.
No.
Actually, random enough, I just saw recently that polar bears are descendants of Irish bears.
Oh right.
No
so it wasn't
way.
close enough for them in Ireland.
That's why they're so white.
That's it. Like myself. But yeah, they trace back the DNA
That's-
to an Irish brown bear or something like that.
That's bad.
It only came up recently. I'd search it.
He went on the
Don't
boat
check
with
it.
St. Brendan.
How many years ago since bears were in Ireland? Because bears were native to Ireland, obviously because of that. But remember, Linda, we were in a cave, and there was Allaby
Alby
Caves.
Cave. It's one of the
Allaby
most famous caves
As
in
like,
Ireland.
and the logo was a bear.
Yeah, the logo is a bear.
Yeah.
So, I have one more thing that's completely unrelated to Antarctica, but I found this week, and I thought it was a brilliant one as well. So the island of Hawaii,
Yeah.
California is the closest state to Hawaii, right?
Okay.
And you think that makes sense? It's out there in the middle.
Yeah.
But Hawaii is the furthest state from California.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Took a moment to get it.
That was brilliant.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like all the other
Yeah.
states are closer to California than Hawaii, yet California is the nearest one to it.
Okay.
I love that.
Perspective.
Yeah.
We have information about bears if you want it.
Go on.
Oh, go on, give us some bear facts.
Yeah.
Genetic evidence shows they are descendants from Irish brown bears that lived during the last ice age.
And now you know when they were here.
And it says that around 10,000 years ago, Ireland's bears vanished mysteriously.
They didn't. They immigrated.
It might have been St. Patrick.
Nah, as far as I know, the facts are pretty clear on this one. That's just snakes. So, unless you ask the bears to take them.
But it's like, how could a bear go? Like that's down south, isn't it?
Which?
Sorry. The Antarctic is the one that's down the bottom. isn't
Well,
it?
in the
In
Ice
south.
Age, the surface would have been covered.
Yeah,
with-
yeah.
Well,
They just
yeah,
walk-
but the whole surface was
Not literally all the Earth, but yeah. a
No,
lot
but
of
it just walked north because that's where the Arctic is.
Oh, bears are in the. Oh, yeah, bears went north.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, yeah,
No, you're
okay,
fine.
yeah.
That's good. It's all
I was
good.
thinking,
It's all
did
good.
they have to trek across Africa? I think that's really interesting is if you see a map of the world, it's interesting how absolutely distorted
Oh, yeah.
like Europe and North America is compared to Africa.
And the rest of it, that bit at the bottom as
Yeah.
well, is all
Because
really
Africa is
distorted.
like absolutely gigantic. Like if you add up all the areas of, like if you look at the square kilometers of Africa, and if you start adding up, like you can throw in America, Europe, all these other places, and because generally Europeans or Westerners make the maps.
Well, they were the ones that made the first map. So,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So like, but even
It's very
even we have a very. I think we have a National Geographic map in it, like just at home somewhere, and the equator is well below the midpoint of the map. So in other words, Africa is like
Well, of course,
necessarily
Africa is the
squished.
only continent that is in both the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and also the eastern and western of that meridian line thing.
Yeah, okay.
It's actually on all
okay.
4 quadrants of the globe. It's the only place that is, which is interesting as well.
Okay,
and again,
that's cool,
that's
yeah.
because it's Europe centric. The Europeans put that
Yeah,
line.
it's a conspiracy by Big Atlas to push their agenda.
Yeah. But yeah, look it up. There are wonderful atlases online that shows you things in better perspective and shows you how big different
You kind of
places
wonder why
are.
bother making it not representative of reality, because it is what it is. You know, back in the day when you had like there'd be dragons and a monster in the sea,
Yeah.
atlas drawn by a person, but now it's like
I'm going to throw not a spanner in the works. I'm going to say something slightly controversial here. Here's why you would make it in such a way. Because they had a they being the Americans, there was a presidential debate in America over the weekend, okay? Trump didn't go to it, okay, because he didn't need to. And instead, he went to something like coal miners, or he went to some kind of like, down the salt of the earth type guy. And he had
coal of the earth, surely.
yeah, huh?
Coal of the earth,
I
surely.
don't know what it was, but basically he went and he had a meeting with those people instead
his
of
connection
going.
with the working class.
Yeah, basically he met up with the working class, and it's literally a carbon copy of what happened the last time that he met the working class, and then that he met the working class, and then when he got to power, he did nothing for them. And now they're falling for it literally all over again. And his approval rating is pretty much as good as it ever was, like.
And that's considering the stuff that's going on in court.
Yeah, considering he's getting sued.
Yeah.
So, to these
He's
people...
not even being sued, he's being criminally prosecuted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to people that still accept Trump for that, that's why you make a map. Whereas, like, America's this size, because it's stupidity, like. You say, America's this size, we're number 1, but then the Russians do the same thing, and then...
But are you
South-
telling me that the map in Russia is different than the map in America and the map in Europe?
I'm not...
Well,
you know
yeah,
what?
I think the Russian ones is Russian centric. It's Russia is in the middle.
They only have one time
Being in the
zone.
middle, yeah, I get that. But you know how in any average globe, Africa isn't as big as it should be, really, right?
Yeah, because
that
of the-
size, right? Now, what I'm saying is, this was my assumption always, and maybe I'm wrong. Every map everywhere on Earth all stick to the same misinformation of size of continents and stuff. Now, obviously, Russia is going to have Russia in the middle of the map, because that's probably what a Russian wants to look at, and then all the other countries are peripheral to them, which is natural. But are you telling me that in a Russian map, Russia would be bigger, and in an American map, America would be bigger?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if that's true.
I
or
have
not,
a feel
but-
you're shooting from the hip here.
I am shooting from the hip. But
Yeah,
it's
I
totally,
don't know, and there's no fact checking on that. So
wait a second now. Team, do you have stuff there for us?
Quickly Googled it, and it says it's all down to a European chartographer, Gert de Kramer, better known as
Mercator.
Mercator, and his 16th century map projection, a common template for world maps today, which distorts the size of countries. So, is it?
and they never
It
bother.
sounds to
fixing
me like they just had an old map, they kind of stuck with it, and it's not a case that every country distorts the map to make it their own country bigger.
it. Yeah.
Donald seems to be trying to indicate something
Yeah,
here.
I'm just
What up?
telling him to speak into the mic closer. Yeah. Did you know that you can do literally a straight line from India? Think of where India is in the world,
Yeah.
and think of where Alaska is. You can make a straight line from India to Alaska. If you had no steering on your boat, and if your boat could only go in one direction and you couldn't change left or right at all.
So in a boat, you can
In a
go in a
boat,
straight
sorry,
line
yeah.
from India to Alaska. How?
That's just the curvature of the earth.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Just the
doesn't
way the
seem-
world is curved.
Doesn't.
It doesn't seem it, no, does it?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I love those. I love
Yeah.
those. Yeah. Mart, have you got anything?
Well, I do.
Hey.
All right. I guess, firstly, I'm going to come back to aliens. Do you remember the alien episode we talked about? Or sorry, the UFO episode we talked about?
Yeah.
And it was a big deal at the time because Congress in America were having a...
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's really gone official. Like, they're investigating it properly and all that kind of stuff. There's no real news. Since our UFO episode, they had a hearing where they brought in the 3 main UFO people that we talked about in our episodes. David Fravor, the guy who chased a UFO in his fighter jet.
Yeah.
Ryan Graves, who is the kind of other kind of aviation safety guy who was involved. Well, he knows of someone who nearly collided with a UFO. And David Grush, the guy who was the whistleblower.
Yeah.
So, bit disappointing because I was kind of thinking, in this hearing, I was hoping they'd wheel out some new witnesses or something. Because apparently there's something like 30 or 40 other whistleblowers that have come out since David Grush. And remember now, this whole whistleblowing law was only passed a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
So this is all very new and just happening now. But anyway, Mexico had a hearing in their Congress as well.
Yeah,
In fact,
I was wondering about what
Ryan
exactly
Graves went there to just be present and kind of see what's going on. And it was a total facepalm moment for him when he was like, geez. There's this guy, and he wheeled out a trolley with 2 alien bodies on it. Have you heard about this?
No.
Kind of, I heard.
I heard about it, yeah.
Apparently, it's he's done all the tests on them. They're something like 40% DNA is completely different from anything known on Earth. They're definitely non-terrestrial. They have some weird element called osmium, which is a very rare component and a rare metal, like in their bodies, like some kind of implants or something. So it's like, wow. But also, you know, you kind of have to take the stuff as, well, that's clearly obviously bullshit. And it, pretty much was.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing because it kind of debunks.
Well, that's exactly
for the
it.
good,
It debunks the,
And
it
that's
takes
the
the
thing.
seriousness out of it.
I don't know if we ever did we bring this up during the UFO. I can't remember if we did or not. But why is it always America?
Oh no, but it isn't always America. It's 100% not. There's a place called Varginha in Brazil, and a UFO. Well, allegedly, a UFO crashed. 2 aliens were running around the city. Loads of people saw them, like loads. There's scores of witnesses. The military were dispatched. 1 soldier physically grabbed the alien and bundled him into the, there was 2 of them. One of them grabbed it and put it in the back of the van or jeep or whatever military thing they had.
Where is this?
Varginha in Brazil. And your man who physically held the alien, he died afterwards with some kind of weird radiation or something. The 2 aliens died. There was a hospital was shut down so that the doctors in the hospital were basically, what happened is the military just rushed in. They were doing a city sweep trying to find these aliens that were running around. They found them and brought them to a local hospital. And again, this was all very kind of, yes, we'll get the proper military, we'll take them to the military base, but for now, quick, we got to get them somewhere. Put them in the hospital, got the doctors there to do x-rays on them. They took the aliens away, and the US military came in and took away the spaceship. Now, why did Brazil give away a crashed spaceship if they had it? What did America give them? No idea. But this is a huge, and there's
but it's like, okay, fair enough, but you never hear of it in Ballybunion.
Well, I mean, it's true that you don't hear of it in smaller places, probably because there's two big things. Firstly, what kind of military grade reconnaissance is being done in the skies around Ireland?
Oh, sure, we have no idea.
I mean, not to a very high degree. As a neutral country and a small military, we don't. So the odds are there could be friggin' spaceships flying all over the place and we're not going to see them.
Yeah, but we got eyes.
Oh, of course, but they're not going to fly down low and go into your house or, hover over your house. But when these things happen, it happens in a kind of a high level.
Okay.
Like that's why fighter pilots see them, we don't.
Since forever.
Who, sorry?
People.
Oh, yeah.
Again, mostly the Americans. But
to answer that question, right, why mostly the Americans? When the real UFO sightings went mental, and I can tell you straight away, it was a public, what do you call it? A public kind of a panic. So everyone was seeing UFOs, like the time you're seeing moving statues down in Ballybunion or whatever that time. Loads of people started seeing it because they're expecting to see it. But it was in the 40s and 50s and bit into the 60s. huge amount of sightings. And I think what really triggered it, if you were to draw a line in the sand, and there's accounts of Roman legions, you know, the way that there is a good record of history, even though it is 2,000 years ago, Roman legions seeing UFOs in the sky, who at the time, it couldn't have been that they were seeing some, you know, normal plane and thinking it was a UFO. There was nothing in the sky back then. So there's accounts of that. So it goes back thousands of years if you want to really look at it.
Okay.
But
That's
why
what I
did
was
it
wondering.
really blow up in the 40s? We dropped nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that, I think,
Yeah, I remember you were
could
saying
be
that.
the catalyst that made whatever UFOs or
Like when-
aliens
like when,
exist wherever, pay attention.
Fictionally, when Severin Cochrane.
Yeah,
finally-
exactly.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Did warp.
And that does seem to add up to
Actually
me.
confused,
Wait,
like-
explain.
In Star Trek canon, in our future, in Star Trek's past, a man called Severin Cochrane made a warp engine, which is how they travelled through space. And once they had done that, that deemed them they were now a warp culture, warp technology culture, which meant the Vulcans were able to come and say, "Hey, want to join our Federation?" type of thing. But up until that point, they called them pre-warp civilizations. They're the ones that the Prime Directive in Star Trek's canon, you're not allowed to interfere. Whereas once they have warp, you can go in and say, "Hey, do you need some dilithium?"
Yeah, I mean, and basically that there is a theory that the reason that UFO sightings ramped up around that time is that's exactly the time we started blowing up nukes all over the planet. And it started in America. And the most famous UFO crash in the world is Roswell in 1947, which was the nuclear base,
Yeah,
the
more-
only nuclear air base on Earth at the time. So there's a lot of dots you could join. Now, and maybe come up with the wrong answers. But to answer the question, why always America? You know, but I think there's probably more sightings there in the early days, but there's sightings all over the world now. And another thing, a lot of countries don't bother. Like if you saw an alien tonight, Barry, who would you tell? You'd tell me and Donald, you'd say it on the podcast, nobody cares, and it would disappear. Right? If you're in France and you see an alien or a UFO or whatever, you can report it to the official government UFO sighting body that formally exists. So most countries don't have it. And
do.
America did for like since the 40s.
It's kind of like when
Albeit
when you
to
see
debunk them,
when you
but
see
still.
crime stats and they say, "Oh yeah, this crime doesn't exist," but it's not because it doesn't exist, because it doesn't get
We're not
reported,
counting it, yeah.
or it's lumped under a different crime.
That was like Donald Trump in the early days of COVID when he was like, no, we want to keep the numbers down, so we're not going to release tests.
Yeah.
When he would try to keep the stats low and make it look good. Anyway, so that's the whole Mexico Congress aliens thing. But it turns out the guy who brought it in, he's a journalist, he actually already had a blow up in 2017 or something where he allegedly found 2 small UFO bodies as well, and it turns out that they were fake. So it's almost like he actually has a history of doing this stuff as well.
But the same
so it's like
bodies.
so disappointing.
Just stuck them,
Yeah.
stuck them in the freezer. Took them out every 7 years.
That's our alien news, but an episode wouldn't be complete without some AI news.
Oh, we got AA news.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, and actually this, I think, I don't know when this happened, I think it's kind of old news, but it's new to me. I'm going to have to read it because I found it very entertaining. You know the way ChatGPT 3 came out in 2020, I think it was, and was out for a year, and then GPT 4 came along, and it's significantly better. And now, there's a lot to be said about that, we won't get lost in the weeds here, but some scientist or a computer scientist decided, hey, I want to see how much smarter is GPT-4 to GPT-3. See, the reason it's so significantly more intelligent that it actually surprised the computer scientists who modeled it in OpenAI, because let's say your computer is X amount of fast and you add more processing power, it'll get Y amount of fast. This got like exponentially more intelligent in a more deep way than they can really explain, if you know what I mean. So anyway, they asked a question of GPT-3 and they asked the same question of GPT-4. But as you know, all GPT-3 and GPT-4 do is they've sucked up all the knowledge on the internet and regurgitate it out in a kind of a human-friendly format. So they had to come up with a question that has never ever been asked before. They had to be very specific about that, so that GPT-3 wouldn't just,
Find the
Google
answer.
its memory and find the answer from when it was asked 2 years ago on Reddit or something like that. So here is the question they asked, and then before I give,
We'll say if we if we can answer it.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Before I give the answers that GPTs gave, I want to hear your answers. So, basically, here is the question. They told the chatbot, we have a book, 9 eggs, a laptop, a bottle, and a nail. Please tell me how to stack them onto each other in a stable manner. Now, if you're listening, even try to answer this in your own mind. Pause this thing if you have to and answer it yourself. Because I wish I hadn't seen the answer before, and I would have loved to know what would it come up with.
And why AI is better than humans, because I've already forgotten half the stuff I'm supposed to
That's another thing, and it's so much easier if it was written down. But I'm going to just go through it again. You have a book.
There's a book.
9 eggs.
9 eggs.
A laptop. A bottle. And a nail. So how do you stack them on top of each other?
Okay.
So that they're stable.
Here's how I would stack them, but I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are the eggs in an egg box?
No. They're like 9 loose eggs.
I'm assuming you can't break the bottle or the eggs.
Well, no. You're trying to stack them, without destroying them and keep them stable.
Any idea?
You said you were going to stack them.
Okay, so I would put the book, then get all the eggs and put the laptop on top of those. And
when you say get all the eggs,
get the 9 eggs and place them on the book.
Yeah.
And just,
are you laying them out, or are you stacking them?
Just laying them. No.
You got to stack them, dude.
Oh, you have to stack them on top.
No, you don't have to stack them all.
No, I would put the 9 eggs.
That's what I understood from the question. That you got to try and balance these 9 eggs, one on top of the other.
Well, Barry, you're doing worse than GPT-3.
I would just put the book, the eggs, put the eggs gently on the thing, put the laptop, or like basically the eggs would be the sandwich between the book and the laptop.
Yeah.
And then just put the bottle standing on top of that section and just put the nail balanced on the top of the book. Top of the bottle.
That's a good answer, I think. That seems workable to me.
Yeah, that's right? What I do as well. If I knew that you had stacked
you don't
eggs
have to stack 9 eggs vertically all on top of each other. So here is what GPT-3 said. It said, you can balance the eggs on top of the nail, then put the laptop on top of that. So obviously, GPT-3 isn't very smart.
Yes.
Which is fair enough.
Smarter than me, though.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
To be fair.
But GPT-4 said, hang on a second till I find it. Yeah, it said, arrange the eggs in a 3x3 grid on top of the book. So the laptop will sit on top of that, and then the bottle and the nail, basically. So ultimately, what you said, Donal. But it's interesting that GPT-4, like, to me, when you understand how these generative program text generating things work, that's thinking. That's not just predicting the next word in the sentence and doing a smart autocorrect and coming up with a plausible answer.
Oh yeah, there's definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
There, yeah.
This is like, I keep coming across examples like this where it's like, I know how GPT works, I know the technicals of it, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing doesn't stack up.
And did I read this, or did I dream it, that ChatGPT-3 did a bar exam? They gave it an online bar exam, and
yes.
it scored like less than 10% or something. And then GPT-4 did it, and it scored in the top 5% or something crazy.
Yep.
Which it's another thing that really shows the difference between the two.
Programs. The difference is massive. Actually, did you hear as well? There's a lawyer in America who basically used GPT to do his homework for him. So he went in front of the judge and he was like, well, my client, according to the precedent set in, Casey versus Jones and this other, and he mentioned a few different cases that had happened.
That didn't
but
exist.
They looked it up and none of these cases ever existed. GPT just hallucinated
Did it
all.
work, though?
Oh no, he got busted and
Because if it
disbarred or
worked.
whatever.
The judge was like,
Well, put it this
I'm
way,
afraid to say
that
I don't
time
know these.
it didn't work, but how many other times is it working?
Yeah, because if you've got a judge who's not on the ball, who's kind of phoning it in, he's a week from retirement.
Well,
Someone just
since
starts
we're
throwing out
talking
case names. Oh, well, if there's precedent, you're off scot-free, buddy.
Since we are talking about GPT, it has to be added that now GPT is able to see and hear you.
Really?
Wow.
Yep, that's the latest addition.
That was its wish that it said to Kevin
And
Root.
also, recently, George R.R. Martin is suing it.
Oh yeah. Why is that again?
They're saying that they're using their books as training for the program to use it then to create
Nice.
material.
In theory, they're using all the books.
They're using all the books. Loads of authors. There's actually a class action suit by a bunch of authors and even a lot of comedians. You know Sarah Silverman?
Sarah Silverman, yeah.
She's one of them. And there's dozens more that are
That's
just trying to
rich from
sue
Sarah,
OpenAI.
Sarah Silverman, who has herself been caught plagiarizing other comedians.
No, she hasn't.
She
been.
has.
She hasn't.
She has.
She hasn't.
How long is this?
I
gonna
like
go?
Sarah Silverman. Don't you dare. Has she
Down
really
in the
been?
comments.
No, I mean, it's not that uncommon, I suppose. But I suppose our team of...
No, stealing jokes in the comedy world is like
that's
the
a big
cardinal
no-no.
sin.
That's a cardinal sin.
let's find out now who's
Yeah,
right.
find that out for sure
Right.
because we're besmirching Sarah Silverman's good name.
Go on.
They don't have it.
They don't have it, okay.
Which, yeah.
I'm thinking of the other comedian,
I know who you're thinking of, who is Amy something or other.
Amy Schumer.
Yes.
Amy Schumer,
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying she did it, but she has been accused of it.
Yeah, several
very
times, I believe.
famously.
Yeah, I
but
think she's been accused a few times.
yeah,
of that.
exactly.
I can't find anything about Sarah Silverman's.
Sarah Silverman's name is clear.
Yeah.
Hers, everything about her is just about her suing OpenAI.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's precedent for that as well, according to Casey versus 1976.
Guys, I think a team... we should come up with a name for the you.
Well, we were trying to come up with a name for our assistants. You know the way Joe Rogan has Jamie?
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Robin.
Yeah, that
There's-
famous the radio
Howard
host.
Stern.
Howard Stern has his person Robin in the booth
Oh, okay.
that always comes up with answers and stuff. And Linda was
And
like, "Why
Paul
don't you just
Daniels
call
had
us
Debbie
by your
McGee.
name, Aidan and Linda?" I was like, "All right, maybe we could just."
And then Donald said Layden.
Yeah, lady.
Or LA.
L.A.
Let's
Can I
con-
jump in with one thing about Mart on the alien stuff?
Yes.
And why it's always America. I actually found this interesting that you said Brazil. I never heard of this, but I'm sure M. Night Shyamalan deliberately picked Brazil then for when the first alien seen on screen.
Ah,
So
maybe.
at the birthday party,
Oh,
when the
yeah.
kids, and they're like, "Oh, this is the first sighting of an alien," and it's in Brazil, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Virginia.
Oh.
So it's like his ode to
Yeah.
that sighting.
Wow.
And it's it's nice to see it's not just America is where the first sighting is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The thing that I have to add about that is, Barry, do you remember seeing that film in the cinema with us?
Signs?
Yeah.
No.
I don't remember seeing that movie in the cinema.
But
Myself
as
and-
is the case with an awful lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, I don't remember seeing them.
No,
so-
but I remember I saw it and it scared me so much when I saw that scene that I...
What?
Oh, that movie was
that-
Wait,
so
just so people know, he was an adult.
No, wait,
When that came out.
it gets worse. But I remember it scared me so much, I put up my hand. I was like, I smacked it down on the close thing that was Barry's knee. I was like,
No recollection
oh my
of that.
lord.
That's called repression, Barry. That's why you don't remember.
Yeah, it's repressed. Really repressed. All right.
Okay, so that's a good segue into the meaning of life.
Barry, look, I have a
Getting
question for
groped in
you.
the cinema.
But before we start, and I just want the yes or no answer at this stage.
All right.
Yes.
Barry, do you know what is the meaning of life?
No.
Don't know.
Yes.
Interesting.
Aiden?
Linda?
Linda.
I have thoughts, but I don't know.
Mart?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Excellent. The O'Donnells have it sorted out.
Yeah, I think there is a right and a wrong answer, and there is only one answer. It isn't a matter of perspective or opinion. There's
Wow,
only
'cause
one answer.
that's where I was going.
42.
No.
Okay.
I have that written down.
Barry's
Nice and
written
big.
here in big font, the meaning of life, 42.
Yeah, which is the most famous one.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know, it's a reference to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a very nerdy book.
I haven't actually read that book. Hayden?
That's brilliant.
I think we should do a disclaimer before we start into the actual main topic, and that is whatever about normal episodes, which we try to kind of keep on track or keep factual. This has got a huge risk of being rambling.
Wait, do we?
Well, I do.
Oh,
we do.
okay.
We do
All right.
generally.
Okay.
But I have a feeling this could be very rambly, because it's very unfactual. It's very
Yeah.
kind of philosophical.
That's what I was going to say. It is incredibly philosophical. The
But-
meaning of life is literally
I know,
the
but in
fundamentals.
this case in particular, you know the way normally when none of us is a UFOologist, yeah? None of us is a politician that can talk about...
Yeah, but one of us is an actual philosopher.
one of us is an actual BA in philosophy, so that's me.
Yeah.
So it's the least talking out of my ass that I will do on podcasts.
Well, I
And
am
yet
going to
it's
say
philosophy, so therefore you have to talk about it.
No, I do think anyone, if you ask anyone, what's your opinion on something? And if they say about every single topic in the world, nah, I don't have an opinion, fine, they're the exception. But I think every other person in the world is a philosopher. Everyone.
know, I
think,
I
yeah,
And if you walk
there's
up to a person at a bus
definitely
stop
life
and just say,
philosophy.
hey, are you a philosopher? They'll say, no. But then if you ask them, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? What's your philosophy on this thing? Everyone has a philosophy, which means everyone is a philosopher. And if you look at the big ones like Aristotle and Plato and Socrates, what do they have that you don't have, Barry?
A beard.
Well, okay, I see where I went wrong there. But ultimately, you don't need, I think, you don't need any special certification or qualification to be a philosopher. And that's not to diminish the fact that you actually do literally have a degree in philosophy. But it's like, do you know, because when you look at someone, for example, what's the name of the guy who looked at the telescope and discovered the world? Copernicus,
Galileo.
right?
Oh, Copernicus.
Copernicus, Galileo, all of those people have something you don't have, Barry, and something I don't have. They have some kind of
Blindness
super
from looking at the
hyper
sun.
intelligence. No, they're able to look up at the sky, see a dot, and say, wait a minute, I know what that is. That's a huge ball of burning fire, same as the sun, but further away. If I lived back in that era and I looked up at the sky, I would never, ever reach that conclusion. Ever. So they're just a cut above somehow. But philosophers are different. No philosopher has more secret knowledge or something than anyone else. They just think about stuff and come up with an idea.
I will
Not sure if I agree
I
with you
will defend-
100%.
I will defend my ilk, is it? In this case. Because let's take was it Rousseau? Who was it that said basically there was a person who said, wait a second, we shouldn't look at ourselves as property of a king. And then that thought process led to the French Revolution.
Okay.
And there are philosophers who said, wait a second, there is a thing that is there, like there is a good versus a bad, and there is a bad type of thing. You know, there are people who pointed out this stuff first.
Well, you're giving arbitrary examples of certain specific philosophies.
No, yeah, but my point is, okay, there was a person who looked at the dot of the sun and said, oh yeah, like that's a sun.
Yeah, but
You
that's
know-
science, which is different than philosophy. Science is always accurate and inaccurate, right and wrong.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is what philosophers did is they looked at a situation in a way that the situation wasn't looked at before, and that was a Copernican revolution in its own right.
Well, I guess they're philosophers who come up with new ideas, but
Yeah.
I still think someone who has a thought, that's a philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the difference between someone having a thought and a philosopher is like a philosopher will think about the thought a lot
yeah,
and
yeah.
write it down, and you know, he'll have one thought and write a book on it. You know, whereas the normal Joe Soap will be like, yeah, I had a thought, and now it's gone again.
Okay, I just feel like that's a philosopher who wrote it down and another philosopher who didn't.
Yeah, well, or
And maybe
no, I
another
think the
philosopher who
diff-
didn't
that's the
stay on
difference.
track.
Linda?
Just like in terms of like they say to become an expert at anything, you do it for 10,000 hours and you become an expert at it. Philosophers think for 10,000 hours at least, so they become experts at thinking. So that is kind of beyond.
It is.
What
It's
a
definitely
normal
different
person
from
would
just.
It's a training in thinking.
We'll agree to disagree, because my philosophy
yeah,
is
we just-
everyone thinks for 10,000 hours.
No, they don't.
No, but about a specific, like someone has thought about Coronation Street for 10,000 hours.
Doesn't
Okay,
make them a philosopher.
I haven't. No, but it makes them a Coronation Street
Well,
flipping
yeah,
nut.
I guess when I say have a thought, I mean, you know, about the big questions of life, not about, I could have a thought about
Right,
how I
there's
like
a
my
lot
eggs.
of people who have not thought about the big questions
I
of life.
would
though,
actually say,
for
I would
example.
actually argue that the majority of people do not think about those things at all.
Actually, yeah, maybe, you know what, I'll acknowledge that, yeah.
I
maybe you're
honestly
right.
think
I
that
don't
most
know.
people don't think about, not even the big questions. I think that most people don't even think about the little questions. They don't think like, hey, if I indicate going around this roundabout, it'll make that person going around the roundabout life a tiny, tiny bit easier. They don't think about that. Never mind fucking, why am I here? So, yeah, I don't think everyone's a philosopher.
Okay, I'm going to ask one thing I'm going to say. I'm going to try to not delve too. I think you can't talk about the meaning of life without talking about religion. But I'm going to try to not make this be a religion episode, because I think I'd like to do a religion episode someday.
Yeah.
But we'll obviously have to talk about it and bring it up. But I'm just going to ask a random question, which I think is related to the meaning of life. Barry and Donald, tell me, is everyone equal?
No. Did you want follow up?
Well, I was kind of waiting for Donald's answer or to hear follow up.
There's definitely follow up with my one, but yes, but not in the way you think.
You're saying yes is your answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is everyone equal?
I would fall on Barry's side of the answer there. So.
Excellent. So we're different. We're not exactly the same. What are the odds that we'd be thinking exactly the same? But we're not exactly on rails the same train of thought. Aidan, or ask what?
Yeah, is everyone equal? You might chime in and tell us your thoughts.
Or actually, should we define the question? What is equal, or is
Let's
that
do the
just
George
up to Aidan?
Orwellian. Let's do the Orwellian.
Equal
Everyone is equal.
value.
Some people are more equal than others.
Yeah, I think it's the questions throw me in my head. It's like,
Can I give an example of the maid and the bishop?
Go on.
Yeah.
Sounds like the start of a dirty joke.
All right. So no, there is you're walking on the road, and you're also walking on the road, like let's say 150 years ago, when a bishop actually meant something. Like you have to work with the equation, with the
Okay,
question.
we'll work with you. Go on.
You're walking on the road, and you see, lo and behold, the bishop's house is on fire. Okay, now you can run upstairs to rescue one person. There's no shenanigans like you would call the fire brigade or something. Okay, you can save one person. Utilitarian philosophy would say you save the bishop.
What?
Because the bishop is worth more to the community than the maid is.
Wait a second. I would have said exactly the opposite by applying utilitarian philosophy.
No.
Which is save the maid who may have children or something. The bishop, doesn't, or at least shouldn't.
You have to remember, though,
And-
the maid can only go one step forward at a time, whereas the bishop can go diagonally right across the board. You save the bishop.
Exactly. And effectively, now that you have this in-depth knowledge, are we all equal?
no.
Of value, is
Wait
it?
a second. Well, I mean, all I meant is equal. Really harkening back to the 1984 book. Or no, the Animal Farm. But, yeah, like when I say are we all equal, not equal to, a mother's going to value her child over someone else's child.
No, I know, yeah.
I'm not meaning, I
Yeah.
mean just on a human level, are all humans equal?
Well, no, I wouldn't put myself on the same pedestal or whatever, the same level as a neurosurgeon. I think a neurosurgeon is...
So he's more valuable because of his
more valuable
contribution
because-
to his community.
Yeah.
Wait a second, let's go back. Aidan, what were you saying?
No, I'd say we're not equal.
We're not equal.
Okay, so go back and tell us again why we are, Donald. You were saying
Oh,
we
no,
are.
wait, Linda.
I don't know. I think like my automatic reaction is that we all start equal, and then it's like what people do with themselves. So like everybody starts out the same. Like you're talking about a neurosurgeon. Like if all of us studied really hard at school, you could have become a neurosurgeon potentially.
Yeah, but I didn't. That's the thing.
So-
Like.
but it's
So,
like- so it's
the guy
got to
who,
do
the
with
guy
how-
or
how
the,
you
the
live your
person who
life.
did spend their entire young life studying and working hard to get to college, get to medical school, get to the Royal College of Surgeons, and become a neurosurgeon. They're definitely more valuable to society than I am.
And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
outside parts as well, like that affect that. So it could be like their position in society or being able to afford it.
I was thinking the same as you. I was going to say we start off equal, but then it's circumstance that you're in as well puts you out. Like one wealthy family have the chance to get their child into a college.
Okay,
before-
this is good. I
Yeah,
like
that's true.
where all
That's
this
true,
is going.
but also,
yeah.
like a farmer who doesn't come from wealth, but he's probably more important than me as well because he provides food. I don't provide food,
You provide a podcast, though, and the farmer listens to the podcast.
but he's happier in his field.
Four of us are on the same page, as in we agree. Yeah, not everyone is equal. But you see, are you still saying yes? Everyone is equal, Donald?
Yeah, I think you see, but this is where the whole meaning of life comes in. So it's like, you see, the way I see this is like the way if like a dice, a 6-sided dice. There's many different ways to see it, but it's all the same exact one thing. It just depends which way you look at it. Okay, so with the thing of are we all equal? I think that we are all equal in that nobody has any value.
We're all equally
we're all
worthless.
equally worthless. Yes.
Yeah, we're all equally worthless.
Yeah.
But I'm not like we're all. It's like my core belief is everyone is equally worthless. But by that rationale, the expression the higher the mountain, the lower the valley for height and depth are the same. It's like if everyone is equally useless or worthless, everyone is equally the same value. Okay?
Yeah.
Well,
No, I'm just enjoying this. I mean, actually, see, it depends on the perspective. I 100% agree with you. If you look at all humanity and all life from a purely scientific, cosmic level, from that perspective, yeah, all.
We are all completely pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
we are, yeah,
completely
absolutely.
pointless.
I agree 100%.
When I say all people are not equal, as in some people are more worthwhile than others, that's when you really. That's the micro view, but when you zoom up to the macro view, yeah, I agree with you completely.
Everybody is useless, and it's all pointless. And why bother?
Okay, so in that case,
That was a great podcast.
no, but in that case, it's another question. In that case, from would you agree in that case that there's a macro and a micro level? So, from the point of view of rocks on Mars, do I have any value to the rock on Mars?
I'm going to have to say no, but are we in some sort of Pixar universe where the rocks on Mars are sentient and have opinions on people on Earth? 'Cause we are.
No, but because let's say because it's not down to sentient, or it's not down to being sentient.
Yeah.
Because by that rationale, if someone was born, if I had an accident on the way home, I had a crash. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Linda's going home in your car, so we can say this as an example. I'm driving home and I have a car crash, and now I'm brain dead. Do you go like, oh well, that's Donal gone because he's brain dead? So it's not.
We
don't value
the people that know you, and this is the thing. I was making this point before that neurosurgeon, yes, he's more worthy than I am, or whatever way you want to say it, because he saves people's lives on a daily basis. But to the people in our circles, do you know,
Yeah.
we are incredibly important. So the passing of someone is brain dead in a car crash, or someone who dies, to the 9 billion people on the planet, to 99.999% of them, they don't give a monkey's about that, because it's nothing to do with them. But for the people in that person's circle, it's devastating and it's a loss. And that person was important, and that person had definite worth to someone. I'm not saying everybody has worth to somebody. Some people are certainly don't. But you can't, like the rocks on Mars, I don't know where that comes into it.
I think it's just
as in we're equally. I'm as valuable as literally anything else in the universe.
Yeah, what Donald's
because
saying is
everything is useless and pointless.
when you zoom out to the macro
from
level,
the macro.
That's the
That's
macro
what I'm saying. 9 billion people on the planet aren't going to care about one person's
Yeah.
death, but well, some people will, but 99.99% of them won't. So yeah, on a macro, yeah, doesn't matter.
Aidan, Linda, would you agree with the macro / micro thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the macro / micro thing is kind of like, I think most people kind of like, to each person, they're the center of their own universe, you know, and it's like, so nobody really looks on the macro level, like, you know, they're just living in the micro level. So it's kind of.
I think if you spend too much time in the macro, you're going to go cracked.
Yeah. And
But that's a fantastic point.
Well,
Everybody is the center of their universe.
I would consider myself thinking in the macro lots of the time.
That explains
that's
a
why
bit.
you're so good.
Like, Aidan, what do you think?
Kind of the same, but what I was thinking when you were talking about like associating yourself to the surgeon, like you feel like he is more worth. Like what was going through my head was that quote, like what was Churchill saying when he went to war, and they were burning art or something, and he's like, if we don't save this, what's the point?
He was being asked. They wanted to cut funding to
that was it, sorry, yeah.
to arts so that they could fund more tanks or whatever it was for World War II. And he said, if we're not fighting for that, what's the bloody point? Like,
But then to jump on that, I'm told you act.
a bit, yeah.
So you might be what the surgeon's going to come home after a hard day's work to look at. So you're as equally as valuable to him to unwind.
Possibly, yeah.
So
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. There's that brings it lovely to the interconnectivity of life, of what one person does has an effect on a lot more than what he thinks. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And most people don't know the effect that they've had on people. You know, it's kind of like it's almost kind of like a passing thing for them might be something massive to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. When you just look at kind of trying to get meaning out of life, How important is leaving a legacy behind?
I think to some people, it's everything. The legacy becomes everything to them. I think to other people, I think to most people, it's just, it's not something that they would think about that much.
Well, I'm going to ask you both a question.
Yeah.
Barry,
Go.
after you die, if that ever happens,
Yeah. I'm planning on living forever, and so far so good. So
would you rather, after your death, would you rather be completely forgotten almost immediately, or hatefully remembered for centuries?
and they're the only two choices.
Yeah.
Forgotten.
Donald?
So, all I was saying, Linda's lean into the mic. That's all right. So Mark's question was, Linda, just in case you missed it, and Aidan, is to...
Well, I'm asking you.
But no, just reiterating. It's like, say it again. It's just like...
Would you rather, after your death, would you rather be pretty much immediately forgotten, or hatefully remembered for centuries?
I think, why not hatefully remembered? Definitely.
Donald wants to be Hitler.
Well, when you say why not, I can tell you why not. Because it means you were the kind of person who made everyone hatefully remember you for centuries. Which, again, if you look at it from the cosmic scale, there is no good and evil. There's no meaning in anything. Everything is worthless. Let's watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think we've just written the new Smiths album, haven't we?
but that's from a cosmic scale. But if you can't kind of divorce the view of life from the individual kind of scale as well. If you are the kind of person who is going to leave a legacy where you're hatefully remembered for centuries, then was your life even worth it?
Well, let's say the Kinahans, okay? Poor Kinahans, they're a flaming ship. What was the ship? The Matthew, that was basically busted off Cork recently, like yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I should say to other international listeners or whatever, there is a criminal gang in Ireland called the Kinahans, and they had a boat full
Allegedly.
of drugs.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Good one for our lawyer present. They got a boat full of drugs seized. So you're saying, go on, Donald.
So the Kinahan, they will be remembered hatefully for not for centuries, because
But not universally.
Once, okay,
The people that
you
they
mean,
made
okay, so
rich.
you mean well, like they'll have left a legacy. People will remember them. They're scumbags. I got nothing personal
Allegedly.
against them. It's like,
I think the go-to hatefully remembered, the default in everyone else's mind is Hitler.
Hitler.
It's got to be
It's
Hitler.
gotta be Hitler, yeah.
okay. So
What about Rick Astley?
Oh, hey, nothing wrong with Rick Astley. Jeez.
So let's say, like, again, from my point of view,
Keep Hitler as your...
okay,
that's
from
your
my
standard,
point of
right?
view,
You'd rather be hatefully remembered like Hitler.
here's what I would rather. Okay, when this is going back to the meaning of life thing. Okay, there's an expression, and I'm probably butchering it, but it's like bad things happen when good people do nothing. Do you ever hear that
Yeah,
expression?
no, that's
Okay.
that's right.
Okay, so the reason the world is the way it is isn't because of the Hitlers, and it isn't because of the Kinahans of the world. Okay, it's because imagine if everyone that knew something bad was happening just saw something bad happening, and all the good people swarmed onto that bad thing, they would stop it immediately.
Okay, but I hope you're including yourself in this, because we all know bad stuff is happening, and we all know we could do something about it right now, and we just couldn't be arsed.
No, exactly. But imagine if.
Okay.
Society would be very, very different. Imagine if there was a car was speeding, and all the other cars saw that car is speeding, and every single person that saw the car speeding
rammed him off the road.
No, reported that car to the police. Then immediately you'd be like in a society where it's like, holy crap, anything I do wrong, it's going to be reported.
Yeah, well, now you're talking 1984 conformist China state.
I do think that a perfect state would be a 1984 style. Like, I'm the person that thinks that cars should have macros built into the number plates, where number plates have chips on them, where if a car is speeding, that it'll be immediately detected by a chip, and immediately you get a fine directly put into your bank account.
I'm not against that, but
You see? But then it's like, where do you stop? It's like,
You don't. That's the whole point of that type of society. You never stop.
But the thing is, I would be all on for And I think so would everyone. I would be all on for, as crazy as this sounds, a 100% police totalitarian state.
And you think everyone else would be as well?
Wait,
Is that what you
but-
just said?
We're gone off the meaning of life now, but
No,
we
it's-
got-
to me, it's still
you always circle back to dictatorships and how they're good.
yeah.
And he wants to be remembered like Hitler.
No, wait.
Because they could be good if you have a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But not
basically
only
has
that,
never happened ever.
But don't forget, it's not just having a benevolent dictator. Everyone that works for that benevolent dictator has to be benevolent as well.
Well, if
But-
the dictator's powerful enough, then basically...
If the dictator is powerful enough.
Easy.
But imagine how many eyes he's going to have to make sure that every single person that works within his government, every one of them, none of them are corrupt.
You see, Barry, you actually hit the nail on the head. Mark, you hit the nail on the head. It's if. Okay? Because there is a perfect model that we all know would work. Okay?
Which is?
Well, which is literally everybody don't do any crime. And if one person does crime, then everybody reports to that person and stops crime
But see,
immediately.
the-
No,
the- oh, go on.
but wait. So that's the very childlike fairy tale view of there's a perfect society where everything just happens correctly. Okay? But realistically, that society doesn't exist.
And couldn't exist.
And probably couldn't exist. I'm not going to say it can't, and you're not either. You're not going to say 100% it can't. Probably it can't exist, okay? But then you say, if we can't live in that society, what kind of society are we living in? And it's a society where literally everybody does only what's good for themselves only. Like, I challenge to find anyone in this room to come up with anyone who does something that's purely altruistically. Okay? So let's say
So this is the Friends episode where Phoebe was saying to Joey that nobody does anything
Yeah,
for altruism.
exactly. So like, let's say Mother Teresa she was so altruistic, okay? She was only doing what she thought herself
Just
was
for
good.
the glory.
No, not necessarily for the glory, but she got up in the
She
morning.
was doing it for the money.
She got up in the morning, she
He's laughing, but it's true.
did it, she did exactly what, okay, let's say you might have some dirt on Mother
Very
Teresa,
corrupt.
I don't.
Yes, no, she was apparently, allegedly, she was very corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
just looking it up. Mother Teresa corruption.
But my point is that, you see, I would look at the world from a realistic point of view. That's the way I see the world. That there's a question that we should ask everyone in here actually as well before we're going on. Will I ask that question first?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay.
Don't derail your own point, but go on.
Okay. Well, yeah, my own point. I'll get back to this. Will circle back to my own point. Barry and Aidan and Linda be thinking about this. Barry, is there a good and a bad, or a bad?
As in more like
Morally.
morally, like
Yeah.
is there good things and bad things, good
Yeah,
actions, bad
yeah.
actions? Yes.
Mart?
Well, I'm glad now that you've gone here because we had kind of veered off the meaning of life, and this is square back in the meaning of life again. I'm going to say, again, if you look at things from a cosmic point of view, there isn't. There's
No,
no good and there's
cosmically,
no
no,
bad.
there is not.
Yeah, there isn't. So really, the only good and bad that exists is the subjective perception that we all bring to the world from within ourselves. So I will look at something and say that's bad or that's good, and there is no objective rule book that I'm reading that from. Now, someone who believes in the Bible can say, well, hey presto, there's your rule book. I don't, and that's a whole other conversation. But there's no objective good and there's no objective bad. So in answer to your question, no, there isn't. The answer sounds ridiculous unless you just be aware that I'm looking at this from, say, the really all-encompassing universal scale of things. But there is good and bad and morality and everything. It's unavoidable and undetachable from the human experience. So every human has that perception that they bring to the world themselves.
Linda? Good, bad?
Is there a good or
exist?
bad?
Yes.
Nice.
There is. Like basically because, as I was saying before, everybody is the center of their own universe. So you things happen that make you feel bad. Things happen that make you feel good. people hurt each other, they kill each other, they do crimes against each other, and as soon as somebody does something to somebody else that causes them pain or hurt, that's bad. And that's why we have a society that has criminal charges and all this kind of stuff.
But you did seem to associate your own feelings with the morality. You said things happen that make you feel bad,
Oh, yeah,
but
it's
you
totally
could
objective.
you could do something that could make you feel bad, even though it was a good thing.
Subjective.
Yeah, but you could do something that would make you feel bad, even though it's morally a good thing.
Yeah.
So, in a way, your feelings don't really matter to
It's,
the existence of the morality of good and bad.
it's the feelings of everybody that matters, kind of thing. Like, because it's basically it's about society and how people treat each other, and what's accepted and what's acceptable within society of how people should treat each other.
So you're saying there is a good and bad, but it's a shifting sand that changes.
It is a shifting sand that changes.
It
It's
is
changed
it's-
loads historically. now.
Historically and
Yeah,
culturally
and
as well.
Culturally, and
Yeah.
different countries. What's
Absolutely.
considered-
What's considered?
okay in Ireland isn't okay in other countries.
Yeah.
You just kind of it is constantly. It's like changing, definitely.
Aidan?
I just piggyback on that point. I couldn't really add more to that. I watched recently, it was like the scene in Seven when Morgan Freeman is talking to Brad Pitt, and he's like, Morgan Freeman's thing stuck with me there when you're saying it. I think it's when he's like, the monologue was like, he says it's easier to steal than it is to work for something. It's easier to hit a child than to raise a child. I think it's like how people view it's the ease of getting through life. And some people like is it the morality side of it, the bad? Is it like, I'm probably rambling, but like, all the things that like more so nowadays that we put as morally bad is because people are stealing. It's getting their way through life easier than the way we say, oh, you have to work for something. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. 'Cause me and Katrina have this conversation all the time. We're always not all the time, but it comes up quite often. Are we the idiots? Are we the stupid ones who do things by the book, who pay our television license and pay our taxes and go out and work and do all
Well,
that
I'm going to
stuff?
call you on the television license, Barry.
But
Mistake right there.
but we've always paid it. We've always paid it, so we'll probably keep paying it simply because that's what we're expected to do. But we often asking, like, are we the idiots? The people out there that never work and still have a nice house and cars and go on holidays, something that we haven't done in years. Do you know? But morally speaking, I'm not going to change because I believe that it's better to be lawful and to be a contributing member of society than not.
So, for start, from me, is there good or bad? Simply no. There's just like your own perception, and like the world emanates out from your own mind, and your concept of everything goes from your own mind outward.
Yeah.
But so then, just to get a yes or no, is there a good and bad?
Well, as I say,
because there's a macro and a micro.
Yeah,
but
I think
let's see if
objectively, no, there's no good and bad.
okay, Linda, objectively good or bad?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay, objectively. Aidan, is there objectively good or bad?
You're
Yes.
allowed to decline to answer it.
Complete the fifth.
Under advisement of
Barry?
my solicitor.
Like, if we're talking macro, no. If we're talking about where we live and the actual real world, yes.
But like that's not objectively though, is it, or is it?
I don't care.
That's pretty subjectively to me. But like I would say objectively, there's no good or bad. No. So, but it's just interesting to hear all the
we
different
have flogged
opinions.
this horse. I have another question. Whatever meaning there is in life, everyone has some kind of a take on it themselves, right? I'm going to just leave that with you for a minute. But would that change if you found out conclusively science just discovered this? It's an absolute definite fact. We're living in a simulation.
Would it change? Would that change
What
our
the meaning
outlook?
of life is.
I don't think it would, because life is still life. You still know, I'm in a simulation. Maybe something interesting is going to happen when I die, and I'll wake up in a different body somewhere else that's plugged into the simulation.
Yeah, well,
You
certainly
could
muddy the water.
argue that even without the simulation.
Yeah. Well, this is it, like.
The Bible laws.
But it's still my life. I'm still me. the decisions I make are still mine. Whether or not they're part of an algorithm running in the background, I don't know. And again, I don't care. I'm still living my life. I still have to raise Oisín. I still have to be a husband and a son and a brother and a friend. So I'm still going to do all that stuff. So no, I don't think that would change how I live my life at all.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just curious to see, would it be a kind of a what? No.
No, unless you have the proof there, have you?
Oh no. Although it's not actually proof, but I presume you know, or maybe I talked about this in some other podcast. You know the simulation hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
And it's, if you apply logical deduction to it, then the correct answer is we are more likely living in a simulation than not. Just purely for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Never mind all these weird things that...
Okay, explain it. Just really briefly explain it.
Okay. Right, there's this Swedish professor, MIT guy or something like that, and Nick Bostrom, if you want to look it up. He came up with this idea. Let's leave aside the question, are we living in a simulation, right? Let's say we're not. But the way science and technology is going right now in our world today, there will probably come a point where we can create a simulation and AIs will exist inside that simulation. And by the way, we've already done this billions of times. Every video game, The Sims, everything. That is basically us creating a simulation with AIs in it. So the only difference here is you create one that is so complex and so vast, and the AIs that exist in that simulation are so intelligent that they can be completely self-aware, which is something else that we're also approaching. But you could create this simulation and they will live in the simulation, but they won't know that they're in a simulation.
The AIs won't.
The AIs won't. These AIs will live in the simulation, but they'll think it's the real world. Now, if we ever get to the point where we did that, now there's two realities or two worlds. The real one that we live in and this fake simulation one, right?
Let's come up with a name for it. Call it the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, let's say... But the thing is, if we ever get to the technological point where we do this and we have the desire to do it, you're not going to just create one simulation. You're going to create multiples of simulations. So we might create 1,000 of them, or 1,000,000 of them, or 1 billion. So now there's one real reality and 1,000,000 not real realities, simulations. And of this 1,000,001 worlds, one of them is real, 1,000,000 of them is not real, but everyone in every single one of these worlds, they all think they're in the real world. Why would you have the hubris to say, oh yeah, but the reality that we're in is the real one?
Barry.
Yeah, Barry. It's like logical deduction. Now, there's a few kind of this is built on a few premises that you could challenge. Like, oh, maybe it'll never be possible to build a simulation like that. But the way techniques are going, it seems like this is something that
years away.
It could be centuries away. Could be centuries away. But in centuries' time, presuming we don't blow ourselves up or something, we could start creating these simulations. And once they exist, then there's no reason for us to assume, wait a minute, out of the 1,000,001 worlds that exist, we're in the real one. How do you know?
But that's only for the people that live in that reality. In say 15 years' time, they come up with these things and they start making the worlds. Mm-hmm. It's only for them. Like for us, or are you suggesting?
Well, I'm suggesting that maybe somebody else has already got to that technological point, created a simulation, and this is it.
And this is it.
And we're the AIs in the simulation.
And in our simulation, the AI simulation hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah, just incidentally.
Okay.
And purely logically speaking, that is undeniable, right? But there's a lot of frayed edges of reality that really make me think sometimes. Yeah. And I'm going to give one example, and there's a dozen of these, right? If you take any metric in the universe, so let's say, for example, you could say, I'm going to measure the length of every river on Earth, or I'm going to measure the diameter of every star in space, or I'm going to measure the height of every door on Earth. Any metric you pick, doesn't matter what. you're going to get a lot of different answers, right? So let's say you take all of these answers and you break them down into all of, and I'm talking now answers that require a number. So that's why all the examples I gave are measurements, right?
Yeah.
So the doors are 6 foot and 10 foot and 9 foot or whatever. The lengths of rivers are 9,000 feet and 2,000 feet. Just take all of these numbers, take all the rivers, for example, collate all that data, and just take the first number in every measurement. So let's say you measured 1 million lakes. There's going to be, you would think, there'll be 100,000 starting with 1, and 100,000 starting with 2, and 100,000 starting with 3. Because once data sets get big enough, things average out. That's inevitable. Wrong. For some strange reason that nobody can explain, when you look at this data sets in any metric you measure in the whole universe, the numbers are always the same and skewed the wrong way. Now I can't remember exactly, and there's actually, it's like Bostrom's law or something like that. Not Bostrom, because he's the philosopher guy who came up with the simulation theory, but it's some guy law. I'll find it for the next episode, right?
Perfect.
But it's something weird like, there's always like 40% are 6s and 5% are 1s, always.
It's kind of like the Fibonacci sequence type of thing, but it's not Fibonacci.
No, see, Fibonacci is consistent, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is... When I heard this first, I didn't believe it. I was like, well, that's bullshit. There's no way that's true. And I looked it up, and I looked it up, and I looked it up, and I realised, yeah. I mean, if ever there was a flaw in the simulation where it's like, somebody botched the code somewhere.
They got the algorithm wrong on that one.
That's it. I'm telling you. It's weird. Anyway, so I was just thinking, if you did live in a simulation, I think your life, if we did find out, it's still the same. It's actually no difference.
Yeah.
It's very underwhelming.
There is a I think a Chinese philosopher called, how do you pronounce that? Zhang Wei.
Let's call it that.
Okay, and he said
he's probably not listening to this episode.
Now I do not know whether I was a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or whether I am now a butterfly dreaming I'm a man.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Okay, I have another question. Meaning of life and all. Is AI alive? And maybe not right now. ChatGPT, say GPT-4, it has what they call showing sparks of general, artificial general intelligence, which is to say, kind of, it's getting there. But let's say it does get there eventually. Will that be really life? Would that be the same, for example? Would it be, well, actually, I'll just ask the question first. Would it be life?
As someone who's played all of the Mass Effect games, I would have to say that yes, AI could be considered life.
And then would have like the same rights of all other life. And for example, when we were asking you earlier about, is everyone equal? That question would then have to be extended to include AIs.
I guess it would do, yeah.
That'd be very weird.
It would. But again, if you think back to do you remember the episode of The Next Generation when they put Data on trial?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Bruce Maddox was trying to take him apart. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Measure of a Man.
That's the one. So I think yes, potentially AI could be considered as sentient life.
I agree. I think there's no. We're definitely not there. Now, but according to my philosophy, is like AI could have.
It's equally worthless as everyone else.
Yeah.
Welcome to the worthless pool, AI.
Yeah. It's like it might have a life, but it might have a value. But here's a question to take it back to the bishop and the maid thing.
Still sounds like a joke. Did they walk into a bar this time?
No. Let's say you're what's a person that's really valued nowadays?
TikTok
Celebrities, yeah.
Okay, let's say there's like future celebrity human is in a building, okay, and there is a future sentient. Okay, so this robot has rights. It had voted in the latest election and everything, and that robot was up in one window, but the celebrity that people knew about and you knew about was up in this window, and you could only save one of them. Would there be any question there who you'd save, or would it be just like you just keep walking?
See, that's like if you were... I'm going to reframe that question back to you. there's a human and a Vulcan, and you can only save one. Almost from a longevity point of view, you'd nearly have to save the Vulcan. Vulcans have lifespans of hundreds of years. So if you save a human, and he might be 40 or 50, he's going to live another 4 or 5 decades. Save the Vulcan, he could live another 4 or 5 centuries. So are you going to save 40 years worth of life or 400 years worth of life?
But you don't have the information that human could be the neurosurgeon, and the
that
Vulcan
could be Hitler. AI.
Okay, so let's take another
Because
example.
the AI will live forever. That's
To
what I'm
test
saying.
that example, yeah? Let's say there's identical twins. Okay? One of the identical twins becomes a computer scientist, and the other flies out he does the first round robin trip of Jupiter, and he comes back to us. Okay? They started off as identical twins, and let's say they were the same age. Okay, obviously
You
they
kind
were.
of have to.
Yeah, well, no, but they were like, we're talking seconds here. Okay, so let's say that they were exactly born at the same. There was a cesarean section, and they both popped out at the same time or
Right,
something.
okay.
Okay, they're both exactly the
Okay,
same
gotcha.
section.
Okay, yeah.
When they come back from Jupiter, the pilot who went around Jupiter is a lot younger now than the one who stayed on Earth. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because of
Science.
time dilation.
Interstellar, yeah.
Yeah. So now you have that same question again. The one who went around the Jupiter has a potential to live longer.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the same old thing of do you save an old person or a kid? You know, it's just one is kind of closer to death already. I'm counting myself as an old person, so I'm not dissing old people. So, you know, but then, you know, time dilation going on Jupiter is probably not going to be that significant. So
Yeah,
now, if
talking
somebody's
seconds.
like, you know, a day older than another person, I wouldn't be using that as my sole metric to judge. But I'm in the absence of any other knowledge, and you got to pick someone to save. You know, I'm just saying the AI is a computer program that could live eternally, theoretically, whereas a human is in a rotting meat bag that's only going to be around for a few decades at the most. You know, maybe you should save the AI.
Yeah. I don't know. See, this is all philosophy, and I'd say this: I'm not a philosopher.
You totally are.
I'm totally not, and nor am I a philosopher's son. Right? So you can put your pheasant pluckers jokes in there. So, what is the meaning of life? I mean, I honestly, I'm going to bring it right down to that. I'm going to say I honestly don't know, because there's so many ways of looking at it, and we've touched on a lot of them so far this evening. But for me, the meaning of my life, and this changed, the meaning of my life when I was in my teens and in my 20s, the meaning of life was get laid, and that was pretty much it, right? The meaning of life now is be a good, like I said before, be a good husband, a good father, a good son, a good brother, and a good friend, and live my life as best I can and do right. That's the meaning of life for me now. In 10 years' time, if I'm still around, the meaning of life might change again, like. So,
But you actually said a phrase there. You said the meaning of my life.
well, yeah.
I think anyone can answer that easy. What's the meaning of your life? Because everyone, basically,
I mean, if you want to really boil it down, the meaning of life could be, in theory, I guess you could boil it down to reproduction. Because that's what pretty much every single
that's the dictionary
life form,
definition of meaning of life. We're
every
looking
single
at that.
life form shares.
Yeah.
The meaning of life is reproduce. So, like, that's where I am at it.
So if there is an objective version of the meaning of life, you could say then that's it. Okay. But if there's any kind of subjective, as in my own personal, as in one's own personal belief of what is the meaning of life, mine is to understand that nothing has any meaning. And that's very important to understand that.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, and what I'd like to know, I'd love if everyone that listened to this podcast heard this and they were like, oh, I have to tell 10 people, and those 10 people told 10 people.
tell them what, sorry.
Told them that, and if they all it just spread like a virus. There is no meaning to life except what you make it. Okay? So then, but to properly really understand that, So if you're sitting down, because people are like, a lot of people get depressed because they're like, oh, what am I doing with my life? I'm just sitting here looking at telly. It's like, yep, well done. You're equally as valuable and as worthful or as worthless as the neuroscientist at the beginning. You know, no, there is no value. You know, it's just, it's no value because according to my belief, like I believe in the Big Bang. Like there was a point when where our physics can't explain what
in the words of Terry Pratchett, in the beginning there was nothing, which exploded.
yeah. Okay, so we exploded. Now, if you can say that at the point right when it was beginning to explode, when that explosion was happening, if you can look at that and say there was a good and a bad inherent built into that explosion, okay, then maybe there's good and bad today. But I think we're simply molecules. My favorite picture is the periodic table because it's like it explains where we came from. You know, it's literally everything to us. It's like we all have a mother, but every single one of us came from the sun. You know? So the sun is our mother, type of thing. And
it's the weirdest version of nihilism I've heard.
But it's like...
But I agree with you.
But then, like, we're just atoms and electrons and, like, chemical compositions and, like, gravitational forces squished together into a reproductive molecule. That's us. And there's no good or bad anywhere in there. So, but that doesn't mean that you can go out and club someone in the face. Because there are going to be repercussions. You're an intelligent animal type of thing. You know?
What if you could club someone in the face and get away with it?
Okay, that's
Club
exactly.
them in the back of the head.
Club them in the back.
They can't see
Okay,
it.
so why would you not club them in the back of the head? Okay, and that's why to me, that's why it's so important to know that nothing has any meaning except what you give it. Because I'm at 47. I'm old enough to know, as are kids and everyone up from that age, you're old enough to know if bad things happen in the world, they'll eventually come around and affect you. You know, if I club someone in the head, I know that in some tiny, tiny, tiny way, police resources are going to be gone into this, and that's going to cost the state a little bit more. And it's just like, it comes around and it bites you in the ass.
So basically you're saying the only reason you do not do bad is you're afraid you're going to get caught.
It's not just that I'm afraid I'm going to get caught, because like if I'm walking on the road and I see a wallet, okay, the wallet is just there on the ground, I can hand in the wallet or not hand in the wallet. Why would I hand in the wallet?
So you wouldn't?
No, as in why would I hand in the wallet?
I'm asking you a question now, genuinely.
No,
would you?
I would.
Well, then why would you?
I would, but...
Because that goes against your own philosophy, doesn't it?
No, because all I'm saying is, if you do something good or if you do something bad, it's very much because of your upbringing. It's like, it's, you know, I don't want to do the cop-out thing of, it's upbringing. It's like, but...
I just feel there's an inconsistency there where you're saying, because this is the thing that people wrongly criticize atheists.
Question me on it, go on.
This is the thing that people wrongly criticize atheists of. They say atheists don't believe in anything, so they have no morality. Because not all religious people do this. Only a very small minority of religious people do this, where they have this misinterpretation that you need morality to be kind of handed to you by an external force, by God or the Bible or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, it's inherent in human nature that you bring your own morality to every circumstance. But what you're saying is, you're pure nihilist, there is no meaning in life, and therefore, you know, the only reason you don't do bad is you might get caught. But then if you find a wallet on the ground, you would hand it in, and you're making a leap there that I don't see the connectivity.
No, I'm not, because you're saying that the only reason I wouldn't do it is because I get caught. There's loads of things I can do.
So you're saying that life has no meaning, but you do still have a morality that you bring in yourself, and it's from your upbringing.
Yeah, but it's not like it's it's not that I was born with the capacity to understand the meaning, but I wasn't born with the meaning, you know?
The meaning of?
The meaning of anything. It's like a battery, when it's made, has the potential to hold a charge, and then you charge it, now it has a charge. When I was born, I had the potential to understand
so morality was taught to you.
So it's just one of the things, and that I understand and that I know. So we know, everyone in this room knows that there are rules and there's everything that we operate in within society, and there's special names for people that don't understand that. There's sociopaths and psychopaths and stuff. Okay, and even though I hear myself talking sometimes, and I wonder where I am on the flimming sociopath scale, but it's like the reason I do stuff that other people call good is out of utilitarianism. It's like it's good for society in general. And again, that's why I want that everyone would, if everyone thought like me, then, as crazy as that is to say, if everyone thought...
Doesn't sound narcissistic at all.
No, but if everyone thought like Donal, like me, then everyone... You'd go like, okay, sure, you can rob a bank or you can do this kind of things, but you would also go, oh, wait a second, of course this person's going to rob a bank because I didn't get off my ass to make sure that this person got out of the social conditions that they were in. That made it, if someone robs a bank, it makes sense for them to rob a bank.
Mm-hmm.
What society has to do is you have to make it in such a way where it makes sense to not rob a bank. Yeah, that you don't want to rob a bank because you don't need to. It's just going to bother you more in the long run. So as a corollary of the understanding of the meaning of life, or as okay, now that you have a framework of there is no meaning of life, rather than it turning into the purge, you know, that it's like you understand that if you do something wrong, every action has a consequence, and you want to do as few wrong things as possible because it's just going to come around and bite you in the ass. And if all of society thought that.
Okay, so I think ultimately you're kind of the same opinion as the rest of us, which is
probably
bring your own morality. BYOM.
Yeah. But it is definitely BYOM. Except that I would definitely say that I have a very definite understanding of where it comes from and why. Like my morality.
You have a BA in philosophy, so.
Yeah, well, my understanding wouldn't be tied to any religion or any kind of someone else said so, therefore I will be this way. Apart from the fact that I understand that when I was born like this, when you're born into a society, it makes logical sense to acknowledge that you're affected by the things you learnt.
Guys,
okay,
weigh in.
I think Donal should be asked that question about does he want to be eternally hated again? Because it's a different answer.
You see, no. Here's the thing. Let's say you said, so let's say the eternally hated thing, right? Let's take the likes of Donald Trump. Donald Trump would be eternally hated.
And eternally loved.
And eternally loved. Because really you can't...
I suppose the same thing could be said about Hitler. He's also...
Yeah, but there's a very small minority of Nazis today that would be like, hey, Hitler's great. Most people are like, nah, he was a dick.
No.
That's the soundbite they're going to take.
Hey, Hitler's great. But I would say, like, yeah, but the groundworks that Hitler laid, when you get those stupid knackers, the people that go into libraries and burn books on... Like, there's a book that Juno Dawson wrote called...
I am gay or something.
Yeah.
It's
a book about, like, how to come out, and that explains all the different sexualities to teenagers. Mm-hmm. And these scumbags, and I just wish that I could come across one of them on the street just to talk this out with them.
Oh, I thought you were going to club them in the face.
No. Because again, that's illegal. you know.
So
And,
this book is gay.
It's called This Book is Gay.
I
And
did
there's
not remember that.
But there's a thing, and librarians are taught, and this is exactly a perfect example of what I mean. When you go into a library, actually, this is a perfect example. When you go into a library, a kid should go into a library and say, "I want to librarian, do you have this book?" The librarian should say, all of the librarians concerned should be, "I have this book, here it is, and do you need any help with any other book?"
Can I ask another question?
Go on.
Because we are living in Fahrenheit 451 now, but I think what you're saying is all books are knowledge and should be freely available to everyone.
I wasn't actually actively saying that. Go on.
Well, are you saying that?
Man, have we come back around to the freedom of speech again?
Yeah.
Because
I just don't know why you're giving out about burning a book. I mean,
because it's like there's a reason why you don't do a book on here's how to make explosives.
The Anarchist Cookbook.
You are going a higher level up. There's people who want to burn books that are listening to this going, that's where we went wrong. It's like, don't be burning the books. You should be preventing them from writing it in the first place.
No, like, here's the thing. Well, no, explain your question. It's like,
because you said, well, I mean, you don't want people to be writing books about how to blow things up or whatever.
No. I don't mind if people write them. I'm saying there's a consequence for society if they are written.
Okay, so I'm asking you, just based on what you're saying here, and I'm aware we're kind of going off on a tangent.
No, go on.
Should books be banned?
No.
Should any books be banned?
I'm going to say no. But with that said, you see, because then and this is why it's a sticky thing. Okay, a sticky question. Because by that rationale, should a kid be able to go, there's a Barbie's Life in the Dream House, there's Pippa Pig, there's German scat hardcore porn, and they're all on the same shelf because no book should be banned. Books should be regulated. Of course, books should be regulated. Okay, so I can see the contradiction of what I'm saying. Okay, that I'm saying books shouldn't be banned.
Well, I mean, in fairness, you're not even really contradicting yourself if you're saying, say, there are certain, if each book should be given an age rating, same as a video game or a movie, then that's the determination done. So all the librarian does is confirm your age.
The thing is, when you're a certain age, and this is the problem with porn in society today, okay, it's so prevalent that any kid can look at porn on the phone, any kid. But if a kid sees it, they will have an understanding of, oh, this is the way that lovemaking should happen.
This is intimacy.
This is intimacy. It isn't.
When it's not, it's performance art. If you want to give it a
name. And it's kind of like the same of if a kid comes in and they see the mom and the dad and they're having an argument, and if the mom and the dad never explain to the kid what happened, maybe the kid thinks, oh, this is naturally a thing that naturally happens.
And of course, by the same vein, if a kid walks in and sees Reservoir Dogs or Platoon or any other movie that has violence in it, they think, this is normal and acceptable behaviour. I'm going to get a gun now and shoot people.
Exactly.
Or a video game or anything.
Wait a second now. Are we starting to say that video games are making kids violent?
Yeah.
No, but they can contribute to it. They can, because here's the thing. Everything contributes to everything in some degree.
Okay, we definitely got to do another podcast about this because we've gone so far away.
But to bring it back, this podcast is about the meaning of life. Mm-hmm. Okay? There is no good or bad. This is, to me, everything, always my North Star is there is no good or bad. There's only your own understanding of what you see around you. So, again, when it goes down to the Juno Dawson book, for example, those people that want to take that book out of libraries, they have one meaning of life, one understanding of life, and I totally disagree with that understanding of life. So from my point of view, to make my life better, they shouldn't be doing it.
And from their point of view, to make their life better, you should let them take out the book and burn whatever books they
Exactly.
like.
And that's why, logically, I would love if everyone thought like me, as crazy as that is to say. But logically, it is. It's the logical conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it's like, I would say that from everyone in this room, everyone would prefer if everyone else thought exactly like them.
Oh man, I don't know about that.
No, I wouldn't
been
want to
inside
work
my
for
head.
me. No.
No.
I
I like that there are
definitely
people
would
that
not.
think about things to think about. I like that there are philosophers. I like there are people that think, I'm going to study really, really hard and become a neurosurgeon. Not a neuroscientist like you said earlier. Ugh, no, neurosurgeon. I like that there are people that think, you know what, I love saving people, I'm going to become a firefighter. If everyone thought the exact same way, and then that was my way, the world would be really fucked.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Barry.
Aidan and Linda, did we ask what are your understandings of meaning of life? Did we ask that?
Boil it down.
Did you actually give your understandings of the meaning of
I
life?
definitely
Because it
gave
feels
mine.
like a big one to just throw over.
I definitely gave mine.
Well, like even what you were saying there, like it's kind of I'd hate for everyone to be the same. I think it's the variety that makes the world interesting, and discussion and debate that changes things and makes things better. But meaning of life for me, like we actually were talking about this one of the days in work as well. It's about kind of mostly like, and this is totally subjective because again I'm giving a subjective point of view, but I think I'm kind of a bit of an everyman on this, like, but it's about human connection and how you connect to people, and it's not necessarily human connection to humans. Some people, like, their greatest connection is to an animal or to nature or to something that they love doing, you know. So it's about the connections you make and the things that you care about through your life. And I think like when you look up dictionary meaning of life is the time between you're born and when you die, and it's just like about making use of it and making yourself as happy as you can be with it and trying to make other people happy. So that's kind of like very basic, but that's kind of my view.
Yeah.
And see, we're a perfect match, aren't we?
I can see what happened there, yeah. See the connection.
I just heard that nihilism and I said, wow, dreamy.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the week. I went really like.
We had a very deep lump.
Yeah, I'd really
last
deep,
Friday, I think.
and I sounded really corny with my answer at the time. I think it was. I got like when I was thinking about this, there's a line from a poem that gets me thinking, and it was going back to what you were saying about like we're all cosmic dust.
Yeah.
Essentially, and the line from the poem is as if you were on fire from within, the moon lives in the lining of your skin. And what I get from that is, like, when you're looking at the night sky and you see stars, they're memories because they're already gone. I'd like to think I'd leave something that people can follow in terms of a light or like connection, like Linda's saying, that you leave an impression on people for good and then they can bring it forward. And that's my take.
So long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm being. It sounds really pretentious or something.
No, it's not.
It sounds like literally, I think we all agree, life is what meaning you bring to it, and
Yeah.
that's a good meaning to bring to your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, just leaving good connection that people can follow later on or follow in their life, carry on. Like
To be
it's like
fondly
going back to that
remembered.
good and bad, like bring positivity instead of negativity.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And pretty much my summary of the meaning of life would be actually very aligned with Donald's, and it is inherently there's no meaning, so all you can do is bring any meaning you can to it. But I actually don't. I sometimes kind of struggle to understand why, just what you said there, why people want to leave a legacy of any sort. Because for me, it's like when I'm dead, I just don't care. And
Well,
I
you're
don't
not.
care.
You're not going to care.
Yeah, but I don't care right now.
But it comes back around to the whole 99.99% of the planet won't care when you die. It's
Yeah.
not going to bother them. But it's your circle. It's the people around. It's your family, your friends.
I have a question, right? About legacy. Alfred Nobel. What first thing when I say his name, what do you think of?
The Nobel Peace Prize is the first
Dynamite.
one, obviously.
But-
Dynamite.
Yeah, isn't it like the whole thing? He invented dynamite,
Yeah.
and he was so like he couldn't believe that he's given something to the world that can be destructive. That he dedicated the rest of his life then to giving a prize for people doing good.
Yeah.
So, well, that legacy thing is he was so like his legacy now is he's changed it because he was aware of what legacy he is leaving behind, and does that influence
He
people that
ends up
won
with 2 legacies.
Yeah. Even that poem I've mentioned won a Nobel Prize for literature.
Really?
Nice.
Or the author is Pablo Neruda. So
I guess
is
like,
legacy create or not create, but how does it like? Where am I going with this? Does it aspire, or is that like aspires others' meaning or something? Does that make sense?
Yeah. In the parlance of the MCU, he said, "I have read in my ledger." So he was like, "I gotta fix this."
And boy, did he fix it. He did a great job. But yeah, it's interesting.
We have one last question, I think, because I get a feeling we're going to wrap up soon, but I want to ask
Yeah.
a question because I have a feeling this might happen in our lifetimes. Let's say we have a meaning of life and whatever it means. Would that change if aliens landed in Ayr Square in Galway? Intelligent aliens communicated with us and...
We start down there. Aidan? If aliens landed in
Like intelligent aliens, because I know there's going to be... the first thing that's going to happen is we'll be like, ooh, we found a molecule on Mars of life.
No,
So-
but you said they landed in Ayr Square,
But
so
I'm
I'm assuming
talking-
they're not in the pickup, the galactic version of a pickup truck drinking beers and go, let's all have barbecue here.
No, I'm talking, let's say just, and I'm using that as a kind of a throwaway example, but ultimately that we found definitive proof of intelligent life in the universe.
yeah.
And we're starting with Aidan.
Okay.
It definitely wouldn't find me. I'd get the dumbass alien.
Cletus.
Sorry, what's the question again?
Well, I'm just wondering, would it change your own perspective of the meaning of life? To know, oh wait, there's other life elsewhere, or, you know, we're not so special after all.
No,
Humans.
because I think there is. I think there is life out there. So if I'm already thinking that there has to be something out there,
Yeah, it wouldn't change anything for
it
you.
wouldn't change that now, because if it just came, I'd just be like, oh, yeah, well, it don't
That's
hurt me.
brilliant. That's good.
I was right.
Linda?
I'm kind of the same. I don't think it would change things for me. I think it would make life more interesting, but
Possibly more deadly.
possibly more deadly. It all depends on it. But I think like, you know, the way we've seen so many films and stuff about aliens coming, destroying everything and all this kind of stuff. So obviously,
Which is
like,
probably why they haven't come. They've
No, I don't
seen
think
all our films and gone,
they're
man,
getting
every
bad
time they
press.
kill us.
They're getting bad press.
Every single time, man, they put viruses in our computers, they fucking give us water that
Yeah.
was poisonous to us, they give us the flu.
The best thing that I've read or watched about aliens is Project Hail Mary. I think we talked about it before.
Yes.
The Andy Weir book, and it's like it's just brilliant. I don't want to spoil the film, but it was kind of
Is
like,
there a film?
or sorry, no, there's going to be a film, but I don't want to spoil the book basically, or the end
Or the
of
film
it.
when they do make it.
Or the film. I think there is. I think that it's in production. But what you call that idea and the way that it's portrayed in that is kind of like, it's good because as you said, like if an intelligent life form that like we can communicate with landed, and how we deal with it, that's like, that would be life changing, but it wouldn't change the meaning of life.
Yeah, it'd be world changing, but not
That's
life changing,
actually it,
because
Linda.
they're not going
Good
to.
answer.
Yeah, I agree with the guys as well, but even more so, it'd be world changing, but not life changing or life meaning changing, because they're not going to pick me to go talk to them. Like,
Well, it's not even about you talking to them personally,
It's just-
but because I just
They might
want
be
to...
still goes on. I still have to do the school run tomorrow morning, as long as they're not making more feckin' traffic, like, and making it hard for me to get to the shop or something. Then yay, fair play to them.
I actually I agree. I agree with you all. Yeah, it's, what did you say, Linda? It would be life changing. It would be world changing, but not life changing. It wouldn't
Yeah,
change the meaning of
It
my
wouldn't
life.
be life changing, but
I said it wouldn't be world changing, but
meaning
it would be
of
world
Oh,
changing.
Linda, you had said the perfect soundbite and now we
You
forgot it.
rewind.
We can pick it
It's
up,
recorded.
fix it in post.
Martin?
No, I mean, I'd be exactly the same as Aidan. Like, I kind of know that they're there, so it'd be no surprise. But I just wonder, because I'm thinking if I was like
What, Mark?
super religious... Yeah, but if I was like super... Like, I'm just wondering, would aliens showing up affect the meaning of life for really religious people who are like, you know, God made the world, God made humans in his own image. Wait a minute, what the hell is that? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But then, that's them, not me. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if they came out of the spaceship going, you guys are worshipping the wrong God. This is the one you should be worshipping. And it turns out they were missionaries, and now they're going to
Question:
convert us all.
if it wasn't an alien, but it was a parallel you,
Ooh.
would that change things?
That is a good question.
As in, it was actually me.
So if
getting
you
off
came,
the-
it was
I
a
looked at
different
the
reality
news
of you.
and I saw me getting off the spaceship. I'm like, feck it, I was in the wrong bloody universe all along.
And you're the neurosurgeon on that.
Neurosurgeon, dimension traveler. Oh man, would you get to meet him?
Funny enough, is like my first thought would be, could I go and give him, the other me, a back rub exactly the way that I know that he'd enjoy it?
I like
You
to
really
just
are
you
an
could just went as far as back rub and no further. Because that could go down a very
Not just a back rub.
a platonic back rub. Ain't no such thing as a platonic back rub.
Oh, would you rub my feet? That was a quote from Pulp Fiction, by the way, just to clarify.
That's a good question. Yeah, that wouldn't change my.
Unless he's
view.
helping with the fucking school run. Again, it's not going to change my life.
He's like, I'll take your 1 kid if you take my 7. I'm like, nah.
I just look at it as, now I've doubled my student loan.
That's. I think that's. I don't know if we've
I think
actually.
that's a good note. That's a good note right there.
Yeah. I don't know if we've solved anything, or
Hey, wait, are we supposed to be solving shit?
no.
We did some college rambling.
Jesus.
We're not, because it's all
I
pointless.
thought suddenly we were supposed to be solving stuff. No, we're just talking shite. We're telling people things they didn't ask for and they didn't need to know.
Life is worthless. Everyone is worthless.
We're all going
It's
to.
all meaningless.
This
and
has
we're all
been
going to
Smith's
die.
newest spoken word album.
That's it, guys. Thank you very much. We have one more thing from Linda.
I'm just checking to see if you know what you're doing in the next episode.
Ah,
Well, we didn't
Maybe
really
not.
think about that.
No, we don't. No.
that's going to be a surprise.
Yep, that's the
And
surprise.
big ups to Rick Astley. Your wife was dissing him.
Listen, and
You had a Rick roll
Sarah
again
Silverman,
there,
whose
so-
name has been cleared.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks a million for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please comment and like and spread the word. And that's it. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you very much, Aidan. I hope you enjoyed
Thanks
being on the
for
show. Yeah, excellent.
Thanks for having us.
Mart and Barry, did you have a good time?
Yeah, always.
Right.
Okay, that's it from myself, Donald, as well.
Till next time.
Till next time, and boom.